Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Crochet Luna podcast. My name is Claudia and I'm coming to you from the San Diego area in Southern California. Now, this weekend is definitely Christmas in July here in San Diego because it's Comic-Con weekend. The San Diego Comic-Con is in full swing right now, and it's a lot of fun. My family and I usually take the day and spend it whole day of looking at all the wonderful cosplay and the vendors, and the thing about Comic-Con is, if you've never been, is that it takes place inside the San Diego Convention Center, but it is so big now, it is huge, that it really takes over all of downtown San Diego. So you don't necessarily have to go into the convention center to have an awesome Comic-Con experience. A lot of times you will have panels of different TV shows or, movie people, comic people, whatever. You'll have panels outside of the convention center. Last year we got to sit in on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. panel. That was so cool because at that time my husband and I, we were really enjoying that show. And they had everybody there. It was great, and you could ask questions and you could interact with the actors, and so and then the other thing that they had, which was amazing, if you're a fan of Fear the Walking Dead, because San Diego's convention center basically is walking distance to the water, they had an Abigail. So they had the Abigail ship, and on it were people that were walkers, infected walkers, walking around the ship, walking on the dock, and then you could just kind of see them, and it was so cool. So definitely we look forward to this every year, and my husband, being a native born San Diegan, he's been going to Comic-Con since, he said it used to be just like a little small conference room with some tables, and that was it. Now it's this international thing that is huge. So I don't usually dress up, but I usually dress my kids up. Last year my daughter was, who was she? She was from Naruto, which is a cartoon that she likes. Who was she? She wasn't the main guy. Sasuke. She was Sasuke, and I crocheted her a little Sasuke headband, and I did like little wrist things for her. And then my son was one of the Ghostbusters, so that was a lot of fun. Anyway, it's been a while since I podcasted. I actually was trying to podcast last week, but I'm actually getting over an upper respiratory infection that was pretty nasty. Not unusual when you're in immunosuppressants like I am for my arthritis. But yeah, the cough is still there, but I'm not feeling that sort of like that pressure on my chest and sinus headache and that kind of thing. So I'm a lot better now, but definitely it's been a while since I podcasted. But got lots to talk about. That's the positive side of that. So let's get started. I want to start off, I think I've gotten into the habit of starting the podcast by, giving somebody a shout out and or welcoming somebody from the Ravelry group. And this podcast, I want to highlight a Ravelry group member by the name of Haley. Hey Haley, she is Hayri on Ravelry, and her introduction was fantastic. If you have a chance, go read it. Haley lives I don't know how far north, but she lives north of the 60th parallel. Now, being geographically deficient as I am, because I'm horrible with geography, I had heard of the 60th parallel, but I just really didn't know what it was, really. I'll be honest with you. So I looked it up, and holy cow, is she north. She spends 24 hours in daylight in the summertime. 24 hours in daylight. So immediately I thought about that movie with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock. I guess he lived so far north that they had like special shades so that they could sleep at night and all that kind of stuff. And I think that is so cool. So I looked it up. I mean, I didn't do a crazy amount of research, but it was interesting. But look at this. Look at this map I pulled up from Wikipedia. So she's like way up here, you guys. She's like north of here. Do you see where the United States is? Do you see where Canada is? Do you see where that 60th parallel is? She's north of that. North of that. Anyway, I was like, tell me more. I want to know more. So then the other thing is she works at a placer mine. So I didn't know anything about that, so I went and looked it up. And I guess it's different from like hard rock mining. And I wrote a little, I took some notes. It says placer mining is the practice of separating heavily eroded minerals like gold from sand and gravel. So like I'm picturing like one of those like little pan things, like you see in the movies, and you're like at the stream or the creek, and you've got the sediment, and you're like, shaking it up looking for the gold. And she says sometimes they have to do that. That's crazy. Anyway, welcome, Haley. I am fascinated by your lifestyle. I think being a chronic insomniac, I don't know how I would do with that 24-hour daylight. Seems a little appealing to me, although on the flip side, the 52 minutes or the couple hours of daylight you get in the summer would kind of be a bummer. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you guys because I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, and she also is into dyeing her own yarn. And what else? Oh, and she's got the cutest little baby. Oh my gosh, I love babies. I just want to squeeze them. They're so cute. Anyway, I know you're here for some crochet, and I know you're here for other fiber goodness, but I just wanted to share that with you. I also wanted to let you know that I went to the San Diego County Fair in June, which is, we go every year. My daughter is part of a Girl Scout troop that goes to one of the flag raising ceremonies, and we get to go in for free, and we get to hang out for the day. But I met the sweetest lady while I was waiting to get in, and she does bobbin lace bobbin lace. And I'd seen it done before at the Vista Fiber Festival last year, but this year I actually was able to talk to this other really nice lady. Her name was Linda, who let me record her doing some bobbin lace. So I will pop that video at the end. I also took a video of someone spinning with an electric wheel, which I'd never seen done. Oh, and then Linda also let me tape her do some tatting, which tatting I'd never seen tatting done. So at the end of the podcast, I'll pop in that video if you're interested. But they were so welcoming. I really felt like when I was there, I was with my people, because it was in an upstairs hall where they had all the knitting and the crochet, all the crafty stuff that they have at the fairs. And there was people with electric knitting machines that I had never seen. These things were like the size of a table. And then there was, the Polymer Clay Guild was there. Spinning ladies were there. Crochet, knitting. It was super cool. I loved it. I always enjoy that part of the fair. But one of the things that happened last podcast, which I felt bad about, is that I forgot to share a gift that I received from a sister podcaster, Jillian, from the Cuckoo for Cows podcast. I totally unexpected, I went to my post box and I got a little gift from her, and it was just perfect. So I wanted to share what she sent me. So first of all, she sent me soap, which I love soap. I love receiving soap, and I love getting soap. This is a lavender vanilla soap that is just yummy, beautiful to use. So I have this in my bathroom. And then she sent me this. Take a look at that. Meredith's Jars of Joy. And this is really cool. This is something that was started by a mom who saw that her teenage daughter was struggling transitioning into high school, she started writing her little notes in the morning, and she ended up with a stack of them, and I guess her friends saw them, they thought they were cool, so they have a website called Meredith's Jars of Joy, and where you can get these jars that have, like, you know, positive affirmations and things like that. And actually they have about 10 different jars that you can purchase, and they have let's say they have 1 to 6 months jars, I guess 6 months worth of, you know, positive affirmations. They have a fitness edition, they have kids quotes from 6 years to 12 years, I guess that's the age appropriateness of the quotes, seasons of love, and Psalms, the Psalms edition. So you can buy one of these, it's got 30 of them, and then every morning you can pull one out, you know, read it, and what a great way to start the day, right? And I'll share one of those. I haven't used it because I was waiting to share this with you guys, but I'll share one of the quotes before the end of the podcast. So that's a great gift. I love things like this. I love things that promote positivity and kindness, because we need that, and we need to be reminded of that every single day. Put the positive out there, and the positive will come back. So then after that, she got I received this. She sent me this, which is cute little coin purse from a company. I am a huge fan of this company. It's called Blue Q. You can find their stuff here in the States usually at grocery stores and like little specialty shops. And things like this, you know, it's pretty tame. But if you go on their website, just be warned that they have a really creative way of combining vintage imagery with profanity. And I'm a big fan of that. I just love it. I enjoy it. And I had just got a big order from Blue Q when I received the little coin from Jillian. And this is one of the prizes that's going to go in the Summer of Romance chatter thread. Winner will get one of these, which I think is really cool. And I also purchased this one, which I thought was really cute. Change is good. And then they have these really cool tins that I like to use for just different things. And here's World's Greatest Potty Mouth. And you can put all, like I put, for example, in this one, which is Nutcase, I put all my little things that I'm going to be working with for stitch markers. I just throw them in there, and then when I want to make a stitch marker, I just, you know, pull it out. But one of the things that really is great about this company is that they manufacture their bags from recycled rice bags. So they take the rice sacks and they melt them and they turn them into fabric, they print on them, and that's why they're kind of crinkly like this. So this is a recycled product, 100% recycled product. If you go on their website, there's a great little graphic that you can see that shows you the process. And like I say, they have something for everyone, and I think I just really enjoy this website. Oh, so then the other thing that Jillian sent me that was totally bomb is that she sent me yarn. And it's funny because she sent me this yarn. It's called Sunseeker by Cascade. I'll show you the tag. Oops. It's this one right here, Sunseeker. I had picked some of this yarn up at Sin City Knits in Las Vegas probably like 2 years ago, and it's just been sitting in my stash. I had picked out a green one. I don't know why I picked this green, because this is a very odd color to pick with the other ones that I picked, and I'll show you. So I picked out this green one, and it's got little sparkle in it, if you can see that. And I picked out this really pretty pink one and this solid pink one. So you can see that these two, and I have 3 balls of these. I have 3 of these. So you can see these two colors will go alike. But then this funky green one, I have no idea why I bought that. But Jillian sent me this awesome blue one, and she sent me this white one. And it all has that sparkly stuff in it. I don't know, you can see that in the blue. There you go. You can see that there's all this blue. And I thought that's so cool because I know exactly what I want to make with it. When I sent her a message thanking her for it, I said, I know exactly what I want to make with it. This right here, which is from Inside Crochet issue 90. Yeah, issue 90. It's the Gradient Granny Tee. And when I was looking at the pattern, here's a good way of looking at it. I thought, there's no way I'm going to do a circle within a circle right in the boobage because that's just not going to look good. But I thought maybe I'll just do like solid color and then put the edge, you know, a different color. And it worked out because, as you can see, I am wearing it. Love it. Thank you so much, Jillian, for sending me that yarn. The pattern is a breeze. A breeze. This is the first crochet type I've ever made. I never stressed out about it. I never was frustrated with it. It's a great pattern. Really like it. I really enjoyed it. And actually, I'm going to be making another one with these colors. I think this is going to look really pretty. So I'm going to do that. And this is the hook that I used. I mean, I'm no polymer clay shed, but I do like putting the thicker handle on my hook. So, and I'm keeping all the little bits and pieces in this cute little Notions bag. So thanks again, Jillian. I really, really enjoyed that. All right, let's see what else. I've got notes. Okay. So you saw the title of the episode is called Must Stash. And what's funny is that I've been trying to clean up my stash. I've been trying to donate. I've been trying to gift yarn. I've been trying to really get the yarn out into the hands of people who I feel are going to have a better opportunity to use the yarn than having it just sit in my stash. And I just have been thinking a lot about stash lately, and I've been thinking a lot about yarn acquisition and things like that. And I'm flipping through Instagram, and I came across, as I'm going through the process of putting the episode together, that I thought was perfect for this episode. And it's this bag. How cool is this bag? It's the inside of it. And this is a Mr. Indigo's bags on Etsy, and I'll put all the information in the show notes. I believe he is married. He's married to Amy Meeks, who is one half of the Periscoping sisters who have a podcast on YouTube. Now, you guys remember in episode 2 I was telling you about an issue that I had with a bag that I received in the mail, which it was all resolved. It all had a positive outcome. When I opened this bag, it was such a joy to open up a package that not only looked wonderful, felt wonderful, but smelled wonderful. It smelled, even now, it's just smells nice. It smells clean, it's soft, and I love it. I really love it. And the other feature of this bag that I really like is that there's no zippers. It's all magnets. And that's cool because then, with zippers, I always have to be careful that I roll down, the opening of the bag if there's a zipper so that the yarn won't catch on it. So I'm always aware that I've got to do that. But with this bag, you don't have to do that. So I'm really happy with the purchase of this bag. But moving on to the yarn, right? The stash. I I went online to do a little research on the psychology of collecting, because I have been a stamp collector since I was 10 years old. I have a massive stamp collection that I love. And I only because I don't dedicate a lot of time to it, what I do is whenever I go to the post office and I see what's out, I'll buy a sheet of it. So I have tons of these different sheets of, commemorating different things. But when I first started, I did the whole stamp club thing where I would buy the stamps, soak the stamps, flatten the stamps, put it in an album, or archive it in some other way. So it's one of the things that I have collected for a very long time, and I really enjoy it. Other than that, other than when I started to learn how to crochet, I don't remember of any other thing that I really collect. I used to collect shoes. I mean, I had an obscene amount of shoes before I got married. I don't do that anymore. I loved collecting purses, but it wasn't like an out of a control collection. I really enjoyed having a nice collection of purses. Don't have that anymore. So really the only thing that I collect now is yarn. And I was going through the internet, I was going through YouTube, and I came across a video from a lady, what is her name? I'm not sure what her name is. I will put the name down, down there so you'll see it. But she's the owner of a yarn shop in the UK. I think actually it's Scotland. It's called Fluff Shop in Dundee. And she's got this video where she talks about stash. And it was fascinating. I've watched it like 3 or 4 times because I think sometimes I have felt, it's not bad, the word is not bad, I have felt like I have questioned my need to have an extensive stash. And actually, compared to what other people have, I don't have a crazy amount of yarn, but I have enough yarn that, when people come to my little crochet corner, they're just, wow, why do you need all this yarn? But she very honestly puts out her point of view as to her emotional connection to the yarn. And so then I was thinking about that. And so what I'm going to tell you is just completely my perspective, my point of view. You could have a different one, of course. But I totally see it her way. And I'll tell you what changed it for me. And it was the Hotel of Bee shawl. So up into the Hotel of Bee shawls, I've been crocheting on my own, posting pictures on Instagram, just doing my thing. I find a pattern, I would do it. With the Hotel of Bee shawls, because you become part of this group of people basically creating based on the same pattern, and there was there's groups and the hashtags, I felt like I was drawn into this moment. And it was a moment created by many people. And so I really enjoyed that. And I have an emotional connection to that shawl, unlike other shawls that I've done. So I really love my Hotel of Bee shawl. So that happened, that was a wonderful thing. And then next comes my my Cypress shawl, which is the one that I did based on the Doris shawl pattern by Cat Golden. And that also was grounded on a very specific time that was, what is the word? It's not intense, is not the word that I'm looking for, but focused, I guess, because it was a 3-day weekend. My kids were at my parents' house. My husband, I think, he was in town. But literally, I sat on my couch watching the Lorraine Pugh's podcast, crocheting the shawl and loving it. I mean, it was like, I remember just having her voice and her passion for her island that she lives in, her way of thinking, her way of looking at things, and then the images that she shows on her podcast of Cyprus and all of that. I mean, I'm talking to you about it and I'm just flashing to these images. Really connected, and I think breathed soul into the work, because when I see that shawl, I feel so happy, you know? I feel like I can't wait for it to get cold so I can wear that shawl. And it brings me a lot of happiness and joy. Not only to see the finished project, but also, you know, to have this beautiful yarn that I worked with. So I'm going to put a link to the Fluff Shop's podcast, where she talks about stash, because I think it's an important concept to get into our minds, is that our yarn, our stash is, like she says, you know, unless you're like spending the rent money or the kids' tuition or something, you know, unless you're spending money that you should not be spending to buy yarn, then there's nothing wrong with buying yarn if it makes you feel good. I mean, drive down any street here, let's say drive down any street in California, and you will see some guy's house that has 20 cars in it, you know, like not 20, but it's got like 5 cars in it, because they collect those cars. Like my dad, huge collector of things. You go to their yard. My parents have a where they used to have their business is like an acre of land, and you will see that there's piles of things that he collects. Now, to me and you would be like, what is all this junk? But not to him. There is a connection to the things that are there, that are important enough to be there. And I am trying to wrap my head around looking at the yarn, and not as, oh God, this pile of yarn and I'll probably die and never crochet, because I get into those moments where I'm like, there isn't enough time in the world to crochet all the yarn that I have. The same way that Harold Bloom, I believe, Harold Bloom wrote a book called How to Read and Why, I believe, and in it he talks about how there's only a certain number of books that you will ever be able to read in your life. Therefore, pick the ones that are going to be good ones and enhance your life, I guess. I don't know. Because I have an issue with that statement, because I like to read a lot of trash and it brings me a lot of happiness. Although I've read a lot of, whatever classic literature. But he's right in that we only have enough time in our life to only crochet so many projects. So I went on YouTube and I was looking for things that talk about the psychology of collecting. And I came across a video. It's a TED Talk by a guy named Daniel Krasick. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I probably completely butchered that name, but that's okay. And he talks about the fact that we as human beings, we're wired to collect things. Our brains are wired to connect things. He collects pinball machines. He talks about his pinball machine collection. And he talks about the fact that we create these autobiographical memories with the things that we collect. And that is exactly what happened with the Hotel of Bees and with the Cypress shawl. I look at the shawls that I've made, and I can pick specific moments where I saw shawls that I was just like blown away by on Instagram, or the late nights where I was so excited that I finally got, that honeycomb part done right, and then the day that I blocked the shawl that I was so excited about. So these autobiographical memories are memories that we create by the things that we collect. And he also talks about that we feel good when we connect to people who collect the same things that we do. And of course you know that's right, because whenever you talk to people who are into crochet or knitting or fiber, you know that you're with your people. When I went to the fair, the San Diego County Fair, and I was talking to Linda, who was doing the bobbin lace, or Deborah, I believe was her name, who was spinning, I felt a immediate connection to these people. And we're talking in our language that we talk about whips and FOs and, yarn weights. So there is like an instant connection that happens with people that are basically into the same things that you are. And you guys, you and I, we're all into yarn, whether we owned 3 skeins of yarn or 3,000, we're into yarn. That's why we crochet, that's why we knit, that's why we weave. We love it, we enjoy it. So I guess there's this underlying current that has become prevalent in using terminology. And there was someone that she refers to in her video that kind of lead us to feel like having yarn is a bad thing, the thing like hoarding or yarn pig, which yarn pig is a term that I really don't like. I don't like using it, I don't like hearing it. It's kind of like nails on the chalkboard. I don't like to hear those things, and I want to put positive terms when it comes to our yarn, because these things are important to us, and we can't minimize that by labeling them with such negativity. And one of the things that she talks about is curating her yarn collection. Now, curating is a great term because it really shows and it puts the yarn collection into perspective, because you do that. I mean, I've been curating my collection for about 2 months now, where I'm just like picking things out, looking to see what I need to. For example, I realized after I rearranged my yarn collection, I have very little cotton yarn, and it's summertime, and I'm looking at all these patterns that I want to crochet, and I don't have enough cotton to crochet anything. So thank God Jillian sent me this so that I could, crochet this top. But I need to get a little bit more cotton in my stash. I need to get a little bit more of DK weight yarn in my stash. So we curate our collection because we respect our collection. We use terms like collection as opposed to stash hoarding, because it's important to us. It's important for me to see it and give it the respect that it does, because for me, my yarn is my creative outlet. It soothes me. I mean, I don't even have to crochet. I could have a poo day. I could be having a bad day. Coming to my crochet corner, look at the yarn and think, what could I make? And I might not even make it. I might just play around with it, seeing what works, seeing what colors look good, spend an hour doing that, put it all back, and feel de-stressed and feel like, okay, the day's not so bad. That's just me. I mean, that's my experience. I can walk into the crochet corner and just stand in front of the collection, look at it, look at all the pretties, do some dusting, some rearrangement, walk out, and feel pretty good. So for me, my yarn collection, my yarn stash, brings me a lot of joy and a lot of drug-free antidepressant qualities. That's what it does for me. As I've said before, I've only been crocheting for about 4 years, and I didn't know anything about yarn or hand-dyed yarns until I went to the San Diego yarn crawl, and I think that was in 2014. It was my first introduction to these yarns, and I bought my first skein of hand-dyed yarn at in the Yarn Over truck. I went to the Yarn Over truck. It was parked in front of a yarn shop. I went in there and I was blown away. I wanted everything. I'd never seen such beautiful yarns. And so I bought this. This is Zen Garden. It's called Serenity. It's under Serenity K Base, California Love. This is the first skein of hand-dyed yarn that I ever bought. And I put the date on it. It was 2014. I think I'm going to go back to that. I think what I'm going to do now is that when I purchase yarn, I'm going to put a date on the label so I know when I bought the yarn. But yeah, this is the first skein of hand-dyed yarn that I ever purchased. And I got it in this yarn weight because this is the yarn weight that I was used to crocheting with, you know, worsted weight yarn. This is a DK weight, but it's actually pretty thick for DK. And I love it. I look at this skein and I remember that first feeling of, wow, these things are beautiful. And I want all of them. But like I said, I love it. I love all yarn. I love the acrylics. It just brings me so much happiness. I can't even tell you. I mean, I feel like if I leave my house without crochet, I think I'd rather leave my phone than leave my crochet at home. That's how strongly attached I am to it. And as a precursor to the yarn crawl that happens in September here, I actually visited I have many yarn shops available to me. I think I have like 9. But this one is probably the one closest to me. It's in San Marcos. And it's called Yarning for You, which I think is really cute. This is their logo. And they changed ownership within, I think they have new owners. And it's been about a year. And I actually had not been back to the shop for about a year. Excuse me. See, there's my nasty cough. I went in there because I was looking for Canadian yarn. I wanted to get my hands on some Sweet Georgia for the Grocery Girls make-along that they're having to celebrate Canada's 150th birthday. And I remember that they carried Sweet Georgia yarn there. So I bought this. And that's really pretty. This is a superwash DK. It's their superwash merino, 256 yards, and it's color Aegean. And that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about as to why, about something about the way we're wired to make these connections. Oftentimes, and you know that this has happened, I will buy a yarn not only because it's pretty, but the name immediately creates a connection in my brain, and I'm like, oh yeah. And indie yarn dyers are extremely good at knowing what to tap into. You know, the huge amount of Harry Potter yarn out there would probably not be sold in the quantities that it is if it was called dye number 7589. And you know how much it irritates us when we buy a beautiful skein of yarn and we look for that name of that yarn and it's like some letter and 3 numbers. Because we're not wired that way. We can't connect to 7359, but we can connect to, you know, Down the Rabbit Hole or Dorothy's Slippers, or, you know that the minute that you see the name of that yarn, you're going to connect with it. This is Aegean. And of course, I'm thinking about the sea and the ocean. I think it's beautiful. I have a pattern for this that I'll share with you later. They also have, they carry a yarn dyer who, if you go to her website, her shop is closed right now. There's nothing there. But Yarning for You in San Marcos is the only brick and mortar shop that carries this dyer's yarn. And she actually dyed yarn specifically for Yarning for You. And when I saw it, I was blown away. So it's called Fishnets. This is the Opulence MCN, and this is the colorway Patchwork. Here, I'll show you the tag. Look at how pretty that is. And this has, how many yards? 400 yards. I mean, that's a substantial amount of yarn. So I purchased this because they don't have a lot of this yarn anymore. So once they're out, they're probably going to have to reorder, and I'm not sure if they'll get this colorway back. And this is a colorway that, with the muted colors that it has, it's reminding me that I better start thinking about fall crocheting. And so this is beautiful, and I'm so happy to have this. There's another yarn dyer that I came across there called the Scotty Yarns. They are out of Canada actually, so I can actually use this also for the Crochet Girls make along. But look at how beautiful that is. So that's Biscotti, and then I'm going to pair it up with this one. So this is going to be a shawl for someone very special. But it's gorgeous. It's got stellina. It's got stellina on it, and it's beautiful. Next up, we have quite a little special project here. I trying my hand at sewing with my mom's help, but then she had to travel, so I was left to my own devices. And I kept seeing all this Christmas in July, and I'm like, I want to get into some of that Christmas in July action. And I spotted, because my mom brought me like a ton of fabric. Like I said, I wanted to make some bags. Can you give me some fabric? Well, she brought me like so much fabric. It's all beautiful. And I remember seeing this fabric, and I thought, oh, I want to make something of it. So I followed this tutorial, and I put the link on it, and I made a project bag. Look at that. That's 100% made by Claudia. So I thought that was really cute. It's just a little drawstring bag. It's the perfect size for socks. And you can see I totally screwed it up because it's upside down on this side, but it's right side up on this side. But I don't care. I mean, the imperfections, it's the first thing I've ever sewn in my life. So the imperfections are fine. I'm okay with it. But I saw Goosey Goose, who I showed the sock blank on my last episode called Family Reunion, put together this. Look at this. Look at that nutcracker. I'll open it up. Nutcracker and palm trees. If that doesn't say Christmas in July, I don't know what does. So I'll probably make socks out of this, because this will live in my little sock bag that I made. And I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud. And the tutorial I found was so great for someone like me who knows nothing, because it was slow. I could rewind it. I could watch what she was doing, and so I'm really happy with that. I'm really happy that I made that. So I guess this could be a finished object. I don't have a lot of finished objects. Actually, I don't have any finished objects on this episode, but I have a lot of crochet to show you. So that's my other yarny purchase. And then I bought some of her yarn skeins. This again is Goosey Fibers. This is her Wizarding Wheezes colorway on her Gosling, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 231 yards. Look at how pretty that is. Again, look at these colors. Look at how much color she puts into these. So pretty. And then I have this other one here. Again, look at these yellows. Look at that. I love it. I love these colors. So, Goosey Goose, beautiful yarn, great shipping. Really am enjoying what I'm getting from her, and hopefully I'll be making some socks soon with the with the sock blanks. Now this next one is, oh my God, I am so in love with this. So going through Instagram, this popped up and I'm like, ooh, I like it. And I ordered it. But actually, you know what caught my attention? She has pictures of her really beautiful cat on her Instagram account. And I'm trying to recruit her cat, Miss Luna. Her cat's name is Luna. I want to recruit her cat to head one of my podcast segments. And I'm trying to recruit her to be my podcasting mascot. And she said yes, so we'll see. Hopefully I can pop some pictures into next podcast of Miss Luna and my new segment that I'm working on. But and you've seen this before. This is junk yarn. She goes by Raybot on Instagram, and her label is, but look at this. Holy guacamole, people. There is a party in here. Look at that. This is gorgeous. This is a work of art. This is beautiful. Look at this purple. Can you die? I love this. Her name is, I wrote it down. Let me see. Let me get back to my notes before I totally lose my mind. Kemper, and she's out of North Carolina, so she's U.S. based. So she is Raybot, and I love her. Her tagline is color inspired by women. Love it. I made it down to my local Michael's store because I wanted to get my hands on some of the new cotton cakes by Karen, and they had a bunch left, which I was really happy about. So I picked this colorway, which I thought was really pretty. Here's the label. So I picked up, I think, about 3 or 4 of these, and they have a really cute little pattern on there for a bag. Like I said, I don't have a lot of cotton in my yarn stash, so I'm going to go ahead and try and see if I can't build some of that up. But I got that along with, where is it? Let's see. Oh, along with, and I'll have to show you that yarn with the pattern later. So I'm always happy to buy yarn. I like having a variety of yarn. I have mentioned this before, but I've come from an art background. I went to art school. I did not graduate from art school. I graduated from a small private college, but my foundation in art, academically trained as an artist, draftsman, color theory, oil painting, printmaking, comes from my year and a half spent at Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, which is an amazing art school. And so I come from a background where you can't not create if you don't have things to create with. So it would be like me going to a painting class and saying, I can only paint with 2 colors because that's all I have access to. And I feel the same way about yarn. I feel like I can't just limit myself to 3 skeins of yarn, because I just don't think that that opens me up creatively. I feel like the more access I have to color and to yarn, the more creative I can be, the more open I can be to new ideas. For me, it starts with the yarn and goes from there. I'm sure other people maybe it starts with a sketch and then it goes from there. But for me, the yarn is what I have the immediate connection with. In the same way, I love watercolor painting. I did that for many, many years. And, you know, I'd break open my watercolor palette, and that's what would inspire me. Well, and I have a range of colors that I'm attracted to. I sort of know myself color-wise what I like and what I don't like. And that's one of the reasons that this green is so off for me, because this is not the green that I like. I don't understand why I picked this green. I really, honestly, I don't. Maybe it was on sale, but you know what? It works for me in this scenario. So like I said, it would be like telling an artist only buy two tubes of paint and go paint with that. Now, if you want to be that artist who only paints in 2 colors, that's perfectly fine. But what I'm saying is, to me, I equate people telling me you've got too much yarn, or you won't crochet that, you know, you don't have enough time in your life to crochet all that, or I don't see it that way. I see it as the avenue for creativity for me. And so that's sort of like what I wanted to talk to you guys about, that I'm consciously trying to break away from the mode of thinking, oh my gosh, you know, I shouldn't buy that yarn. No, you know what? That yarn is going to become something beautiful someday. That yarn might be the yarn that inspires me to design my first crochet pattern. That yarn is the yarn that I have a connection to because I bought it when I went somewhere special. That's the thing. Like, my crochet now has changed in the way that before I was crocheting these different projects. Now I feel like when I crochet, there's a soul to my projects. My shawls now have more meaning because they are connected to something else other than just, oh, I like the pattern, let me do it. Now, it's perfectly fine if that's what you do. I'm just giving you my ramblings on what I've been thinking about for the past month or so. And that when I sit down to crochet now and I crochet with something else in mind, with like a bigger idea in mind, it just makes the experience a lot more fulfilling for me. It's one of the reasons that the Summer of Romance Cowl has been so much fun, because I think people are connecting those things. Like, I love my Blur shawl. I love my, you know, Mac meets Baron shawl, because that book series was so much fun for me to read, and it was something that I'd never read before, and I connected with the characters, and I see the shawl and I clearly see those 2 characters in that shawl, in the same way that my next shawl has 2 characters from a series that I really like. In the same way that, you know, 6 people chose Pride and Prejudice, because that film, that story connects with them, and when they see that piece, they have an automatic connection not only with the piece, but with the piece, the piece of literature, but the project. And so it becomes much more personal than just crocheting something that just has no reference. I just realized I'm not wearing my wedding ring. You know, oftentimes I feel naked without it, but my fingers swell to the point where I cannot wear my wedding ring. And so my fingers have been a little swollen, not from arthritis. I don't know what's going on, because they don't hurt, but I just noticed I'm not wearing my wedding ring. So I better find it, because I don't even know where I left it. The other thing about managing the crochet collection, which I think is interesting, and I found this on a New to Me podcast, which is great. She's a knitter. I'll tell you right now, she's a knitter, but her podcast is so well put together, so informative, the quality of this podcast is great. I would encourage you guys to go check it out, and that is the Kristen Kelly podcast, U University. She has a podcast on YouTube, and there's an episode called Free the Stash, and she talks about her stash and how she takes care of it, which honestly, my house is very dusty, so I'm constantly having to dust and clean. She takes all of her yarn and lays it outside in the sunlight, all of it, once a year, to inspect it for, critters or air it out. And I thought, oh my God, if I have to take all my yarn out and do that, it's going to be quite the project. But it's really interesting what she tells you about taking care of the stash. Not only that, but I saw a video on ball winders that was really cool. She's got a video on how linen is made that is fantastic. I love stuff like that. And she also does a very in-depth book review, which I thought was great. And so I would encourage you to go watch her podcast, only because it's so well put together. It's a great show. So let's see what else. So the next thing I wanted to show you was this gorgeous bag I got from Queen's Yarn Boutique. Isn't that pretty? And this bag is pretty big. Comes with a little hummingbird stitch marker and a little holder there, and the inside is pretty. She's out of North Carolina, Rochelle, and she has a podcast on YouTube. She's had it for a while. She's got tons of episodes. She's mainly a crocheter that also knits. And she's a lovely, lovely lady. Check her out if you have a chance and you want to see another crochet podcast. So I bought this because I have some projects that will be going into this bag and the mustache bag. And they're going to be going on probably after Summer Romance ends, which is August 5th. Don't forget, there's still time. You can still do something for it. I'm sure the next episode when I podcast will be the after August 5th, where we will announce winners from the chatter thread. I've got to coordinate with Clarissa Beth from the Crochet Cakes podcast to see how we're going to handle that, because she has the FO thread. I have the chatter thread. I'm trying to put together a nice prize package for the winner, and I will only be podcasting. This will be my only July podcast. It's just very difficult with the kids being out in summertime to find the time to do it. And like I said, I was sick last week, and so this will be my July episode, and then the next episode will be August. And hopefully in September I'll be able to get back to doing every 2 weeks. But August, I'm thinking it's going to be only one episode in August before kids go back to school. But the good thing about taking longer between episodes is I feel like I have more content to share with you. I feel like I can give you a little bit more content that you will enjoy, hopefully. Okay, so moving on. I have a bit of a pattern extravaganza on this episode to go with all the yarn that I've been showing you and all the yarn stash stuff that we've been talking about, to motivate you guys and show you what's out there. I mean, there's a zillion patterns out there. There's a lot of stuff out there. I did get into an interesting conversation with not the ladies, because I don't know who it is. I got into a pretty interesting exchange with the person who manages the Barocco Yarn IG account. I am a big fan of Barocco yarns. I have a lot of it. I enjoy it. It's beautiful yarn to work with. My Cypress Shawl has the Barocco Folio yarn. And so I was on their IG account looking at stuff, and I went through 20 plus posts with no crochet. If you look at their IG account, then their tagline, they say knitting, crochet, and some other stuff. I'm like, where is the crochet, people? I'm not seeing it. So I posted a message that said, hey, I've gone through 20 plus posts. I don't see any crochet here. And they were very lovely to get back to me and say, oh, you know, our crochet patterns don't do very well with crocheters, so we're focusing on our fall knitting patterns. You can go on to the IG account and you can see the exchange there. It's not anything crazy. But I was like, oh, okay. Well, I went onto the Barocco website and I saw there's like 600 plus knitting patterns and 25 crochet patterns. So then I go back to the IG account and I say, look, I can see you've got your 600 plus knitting patterns and you only got 25 crochet patterns. You know, if you want crocheters to crochet with your yarn, you've got to tap into some of our hot designers. I mean, the ones that come to mind are like the Crochet Project ladies. Their designs are wonderful. So then whoever was doing that sent me back a message saying, no, you know what, 25 crochet patterns are based on paid patterns and patterns that are in booklet form, but they actually have more free patterns. So I went on Ravelry. Sure enough, I think they've got 70 patterns on Ravelry. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. So basically there's like a total of maybe like 100 plus patterns for crochet on the Barocco website, and there's still 600 knitting patterns on the Barocco website. So I think that's a little bit skewed because I've seen gorgeous stuff crocheted with Barocco yarns. So I don't know why it is that we crocheters kind of get the short end of the stick. But I'm hoping things will change, and I'm hoping things are changing. I actually found a pattern in the Barocco website that's free that I thought was really pretty. It's called Delicata. And it's like this little sweater, and you can, you belt it up. This is actually a free pattern. And I thought this was really pretty. And you can see the detail of the stitching. And I'm going to put links to all of these patterns. So, and it's a well written pattern. It's got diagrams. It's got skill level is intermediate. It uses a DK weight yarn. So that's one to try. Thank you, Barocco, for your free crochet pattern. Now, I mentioned to you guys that I am going to be participating in the Canadian make-along. Oh, I'm dying. And I purchased some Sweet Georgia yarn in the Aegean colorway. Well, the pattern that I found is from Knit Picks, and it's also a free pattern. And what I did is I looked for things that were in this yardage range, because it's not I'm so sorry. I found this, which is a nice simple little cowl, and it's called Simple Shell Cowl by Beth Major. I'll show you again. So I think this is something that you could probably do on a weekend. So I'll be using this yarn to crochet this pattern for that that make along. Okay, then I was looking through Instagram and I came across a post by the Crochet Mama, and she actually lives here in San Diego. And I said, oh my gosh, I love this sweater that you've crocheted. And if you go to her IG account, it's a yellow sweater and it's called a summer sweater. And she said, oh, her patterns are really nice and she gives you great pattern support. I never heard of this designer. Her name is Jane, I believe, is her name. and her designs are called Joy of Motion. So this is the sweater. It's called the summer sweater. Lovely, lovely sweater. I go to her website. I am in love with her website. Her designs look nice and simple. They're on a full freak. I don't know if this is her or this is just the model that she used, but look at this beautiful lady. I love seeing that. This is exactly what I'm talking about when I did Size Matters, my episode 2, where I want to see this. I want to see this body type wearing crochet because I have this body type, you know? And so and these are all for purchase. So I bought this one because I'm definitely making that. And then I bought this one. Look at this. Oh, I'm in love with that top. Loved it. And if you buy one of her patterns and she reposts your picture, you get 50% off another pattern. Yeah. So she's on Ravelry. I'll put that link. And like I said, I love seeing that. I love it. Now we come to, oh, Rosina. I happened to catch Rosina's podcast, the Zines and Roger podcast on YouTube this morning. And she always cracks me up. She's my podcasting sister. I've told her that before. And we're part of what she called the Big Boob Brigade, the BBB, because we were talking about that as well. But in her latest episode, she talks about her patterns that she's made and how bummed out she was when she didn't see herself in the latest issue of Inside Crochet or Simply Crochet, one of those magazines, but she'll be in the following month. So Rosina designed a shawl a while ago, and that I've been anxiously waiting for this pattern to come out. And so I want to tell you something, Rosina. You should be so freaking proud that you can put patterns together, write them out, and put them out into this Crochetverse, because they are wonderful. I have been waiting for this pattern, and I'm so happy that you did it, and it's out for purchase, and it's called her Urban Stripe Shawl. Don't ever minimize your talent, Rosina. Ever. You are super talented. I will be making the shawl because I've been waiting for this pattern to come out, and I am more than happy to pay for it. I paid $3 plus change US for this pattern. Totally worth it. So again, the Urban Striped Shawl by Rosina of the Zines and Roger podcast. You know, she's blowing up. She's like every other issue of Crochet magazines. There's a blanket. There's a shawl coming up. The shawl looks amazing. And then if you go on her blog, she gives you so many free patterns that it's just wonderful. So love you, girl. Keep up the good work. All right, so now we can get into some works in progress. Now, well, I guess I do have a finished object, huh? This is my finished object. Yeah, all right. Pat on the back, Claudia. You do have a finished object. I don't know. This was so easy. It literally took me like 2 days. Maybe 2 days. It just flew off my hook. But my work in progress, I have a couple of them. And it's my second blur shawl for the Summer of Romance Cowl, which is ending on August 5th. And this one is highlighting my couple, Charlie and Reyes, from the Charlie Davidson series by Dorinda Jones. This is the cover of book 1. And I'm not going to say too much about it, except for the fact, and you'll probably read this in the back of the book, is that she is the Grim Reaper. I'll just say that. I'll leave it at that. She is the Grim Reaper. And there's, I think, 11 books in the series right now, and another one will be coming out in October or November. Wonderful. Every chapter starts out with a quote or a bumper sticker saying, or a t-shirt, or something that would be on a t-shirt, and they're hilarious. I listen to them on audio, audible.com, and the narrator for this series is just wonderful. So it's First Grave on the Right is the name of the first book. And I have my blur shawl in my, this is like the only oversized bag that I have. This is from, I've had this one for a while and I love it because I'm a Gemini and this is my Gemini bag. This is from Thank God for Bags. I've had this a long time actually. And the lady's name is Sheila, I believe. This is her card. And I love the fabric. Oh, and it's got a little Gemini charm right there. Oh, I'm showing you the back of it. That's not going to help. Little Gemini charm. And like I said, I really like that. And the inside has constellation fabric in it. So I been working on my blur. You know, the blur, I think I'm going to do like, because, you know, I'm so professional as a podcaster and everything. I think what I want to do is I want to have, at the end of the year in December, I want to have the Crochet Luna Pattern Awards. And what I want to do is I want to see what patterns we have been crocheting as crocheters for the year that we think have been the highlight of the year. For me, so far, the blur would be my winner. So I'm going to cook something up on the Ravelry thread, and we're going to have ourselves a little award show at the end of the year. So this is my second blur, and I'm into the fourth color now, and I'll be putting in the fifth color in a bit. Isn't that pretty? So the yarns are, some of these actually you know. So this is Candy Skein in this is the colorway Stormy Sprinkles. And this kind of reminds me of her as the Grim Reaper, because the people who are trying to cross through her, who are dead, see her as this bright big bright light. And so this kind of reminds me of how the author describes her. This is the card, Candy Skein, who I think is local to me, but from what I heard, she's actually moving out of the state. She's also she also has her yarn at Yarning For You. I saw some really beautiful colors there. And then I have some Wolfie Wool yarn. Some of it is from my other blur shawl. This is the only one that's not. This is Pistachio. And it was just like a little mini skein. I also have Ox Blood, which is what I'm working on right now, because I had a lot of this left. And it's just this beautiful red orangey color. And then this one is called, oh, I forgot. I'll pop in the name. This is the yellow that I use in my blur, which I thought was so pretty. But then this is Lemonade Shop. This is Lemonade Shop in the color Matchstick, which is amazing. Here it is. No, it's not Matchstick. I totally just lied to you. It's called Fire Pit. I think she does have a matchstick. It's called Fire Pit. And it looks like this. How gorgeous is that? So this blur is going to be off the hook. It's going to be popping with color. Love it. So that's whip number 1. And I think I could finish that this weekend, but oh, you know what? No, because I'll be at Comic-Con this weekend. So it's going to hopefully be done by the time I podcast next. So that's whip number 1. And then we've got, you guys, the journey has begun. Yes. I am a crochet sock maker. This girl. Yes, I am. Because I'm all like all professional and stuff today. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Look what Mama's bringing to ya. Oh, yes. Ba-bang. My first crochet sock. Behold the beauty of the crochet sock. I am in love. Ron, you rock. You totally rock. So, I had crocheted this sock all the way up to the cuff, right here. Then I start working on this cuff, and it's looking like a freaking tragic mess. It's looking like a freaking cauliflower bloom. I mean, it was just like, and I swear to you, I could feel the stress level just rising. I could feel like, I was so just, I was losing it. I really was. And then I posted it on Instagram, and the lovely JoJo says to me, you should just message Ron. JoJo Twinkle Toes on Instagram. And I'm like, girl, you are so right. So I sent Ron a message with the picture saying, help me. I think I'm doing something wrong. I don't know what's going on. And like I'm not even joking, within like 20 minutes, Ron's like, look, you gotta do this. If you do this, you should be totally fine. And I'll tell you what I did. I don't think he would have a problem with me saying this. So the stitch that is used in the body of the sock is called an extended single crochet. When you do your gauge swatch, you're going to do a gauge swatch in extended single crochet. Now you guys know that I had issues with the swatch. So what I did is I started the sock on a 2 millimeter crochet hook because my swatch was closest to the measurement I needed with a 2 millimeter hook. So I did the toe part like this with a 2 millimeter hook. And then I tried it on, and it was not working. It was just too tiny. So I undid it. We started with a 2.75 millimeter hook, which is what the pattern calls for. So then I did the toe part right here on a 2.75. Then continued with a 2.75 for the body of the sock. And you know what? It was too big. I mean, it was just going to be too big. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to switch back to the 2 millimeter hook and then crochet the body of the sock with it. And you know what? It worked perfect. The sock fits. It's beautiful. The extended single crochet is so much more stretchier than the single crochet that I use for the survival socks, which are back there somewhere. They will get done someday, only because I can't give up on those socks. But this extended single crochet is amazing, and the heel part of it is beautiful. It's great. So then he says to me, you know, gauge is so tricky because when you're crocheting in the round, it's one thing, right? But when you're doing the cuff, you're crocheting basically rows. So instead of crocheting the cuff and joining to the stitch next to it, I actually joined 3 stitches together. Then I would do 2 stitches together. If you get the pattern, you'll understand what I'm saying. The point being that having Ron tell me, listen, what you got to do is, instead of doing it this way, as the pattern says, go ahead and modify it and do it this way, and it should work. And it did. So the pattern support that Ron is providing for his book is excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Because when I finished this sock and I put it on my fat foot, it fits beautifully. My feet are flat and wide. I just have a lot of issues with my feet because of arthritis. But this sock, and it feels like butter. I mean, come on. So I can't even tell you how excited I am about that. And then the second pair of socks, which I haven't started, are living in of course, my Wonder Woman bag. And I picked this bag up at the Long Beach Comic Con last year. And it's just become like the perfect little sock bag. The yarn is Ultimate Booger by the Casual Fashion Queen. You know, she has a podcast. It's called Hippie and Her Yarn, I believe. Oh, lovely lady, showing off some gorgeous yarn. She's a hard-working lady, so I'm always happy to support. I'm always happy to support women in their businesses, and she's someone that never disappoints with her yarn. That's my second work in progress. That I am beyond the moon. Like, if you go on the Sock It To Me thread, you will see all these gorgeous socks that people are crocheting. I mean, I should have pulled out the names, but Tamara has crocheted some beautiful socks she just posted. Jojo Twinkle Toes has done that. I think Crochet Ninja has done that as well. I mean, go on that thread and look at the variety of socks that people are making. And there's no knit sock envy here, people. No. We are making gorgeous socks. Gorgeous socks. So that's my crochet sock. And let's see. Ooh. Giveaway time. So I can't even tell you how happy I am with the way the giveaway went, because you guys really got into it. And you know what I was really happy to see? I was really happy to see people who had never even thought about crocheting socks going into Ravelry, exploring patterns and saying, oh my gosh, if I was going to crochet socks, I would make this. Or saying, I've been wanting to crochet socks, and you know what, I am going to do it now because I'm seeing all these beautiful patterns. So give me a second, I'm going to get something real quick. So it's time to announce the winner of my crochet fantasy socks. And I had 36 people participate in the drawing, which is pretty freaking awesome, people. Like I said, I was blown away with all. I don't even think anybody repeated a pattern. So there's 36 plus patterns in there that you can look at, but I limited to 36 entries because it was only one entry per person is what I wanted to do, because I thought it was unfair if somebody posted 10 patterns that they would get 10 entries when I never made it clear. I didn't make it clear that it was just one entry per person. So I went ahead and I gave everybody in my list. I put everybody on a list. I had 36 people participate, but there's more than 36 patterns that you can look at, and there's a whole variety of gorgeousness in there. But I had 36 people participate, and again, you're gonna get the yarn, the bag, there's a hook in there. You're gonna get the book that was autographed by Ron, and I'm gonna make you a stitch marker. So I'm gonna make you a little Crochet Luna stitch marker. The winner of the fantasy crochet sock is Cozygurl. Congratulations, Cozygurl. Send me a private message with your address, and I will get this in the post as probably on Monday, because today is Friday. So yes, Cozygurl is our big winner. Congratulations, and thank you so much for everybody for participating in this giveaway. The last thing I want to talk about is some Cowl news. Summer Romance Cowl ends on August 5th, so just keep that in mind. You do have some time. You can crochet something small if you want. You do have some time. The Grocery Girls Canadian Make-Along ends September 1st. And then the next Cowl project that I'm going to be working on is Jillian from the Cuckoo for Cowls podcast. She's doing a granny stitch along, and I'm going to be using Sandra from the Cherry Hot podcast, her keep granny warm pattern, and I got the yarn for it, and it's going to be a variety of these colors. So the yarn that I'll be using is Lion Brand's Heartland yarn. And it's very soft, and I've worked with this yarn before. I really like it, so I'll be making my cowl and my fingerless gloves with it. So then we have another cowl that's coming up that I'm excited about, and that is the Back to School Sweater Crochet Along that's being hosted by Tamara and Helen. So Helen is Hell Spells 3 on Ravelry, and then Tamara is Crafty Escapism, and you hear me talk about Tamara all the time. She is our resident sock expert on our Sock It To Me thread. So they have a back to school sweater crochet along that starts on, I think, the actual September 16th, but then you can blog hop starting the 26th of August, and the blog hop, I believe, is you can go to the different blogs and get techniques on how to do a sweater, and it's going to be for like a back to school thing. The kids are back in school, we'll have more time to crochet. The thread is being hosted by Faye from the Crochet Circle Podcast, and that is going to start, like I said, on September 16th. So I'm excited about that. I have no idea what I'm going to make. I have no idea, because the pattern that I bought for that sweater that I was showing you from Joy of Motion, I want it more for a lightweight, like a summer sweater. I want this to be more of like, when I take my son to football practice and it's so freaking cold, I want to be able to have a sweater that I can wear to that. So I'm going to look for a pattern and hopefully be able to get in on this action, and I'll put the links for that. The next thing I want to talk about is Festival of Finishing. I've been doing really well with that. I finished a hat, and I finished weaving in my, you can see it here, this is what I'm calling my Lucinda Shawl, which is based on the Melanie Berg on the Spice Market knitting kit that I received as a gift that I didn't want. I wanted to use a yarn right away, so I found a pattern. I used Terraform and Crochet, which is a pattern that is my go-to pattern for a lot of reasons. I've talked about that pattern before. So all that was missing on this shawl was weaving in the ends, and I went ahead and did that. Love it. I can now enjoy it and wear it. And so from the little bits that I had left, because I had tiny little balls of all the colors left, I went ahead and I crocheted a hat. So I crocheted this hat that is just like, I believe this is like a super, no, it's softer than Super Saver. It's an acrylic yarn, but it's got like little coloring bits. Do you see that? Well, I took the leftover yarn and I did my front and back post crochet ribbing here on the hat, and this is all of, basically this is all whatever was left on that shawl. I put it in this hat, so I have 0 left of that shawl, except for the little ends that were trimmed after I weaved in the ends. That's it, people. Really satisfied with that. So I did that. So now what I have left is my poncho, my granny square poncho, my blanket. I have a blanket back here that I need to weave in the ends. And that's basically it. I will have completed, unless I'm delusional. Oh no, I have one more granny stitch shawl I'm looking at back there. So I'm doing really well, and I'm really happy about finishing these things. So that's all I have for you guys now, and I'm so glad I was able to record this podcast. I had half of a podcast recorded yesterday, and my phone flashed the message that said overheating, shutting down all apps, shut down my camera, did not save my video. So this is I'm just happy to have been able to record that. You can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, my blog, and Facebook as Crochet Luna. I am incredibly grateful and thankful for all of the new subscribers. I'm probably gonna do a 500 subscriber giveaway next time I see you. So the giveaway for this podcast episode is going to be a pattern giveaway. I'm going to open up 2 threads, one for Rosina's pattern and one for the Joy of Motion patterns, and I will put a prompt in there, something simple that you can answer that lets me know that you're interested in the giveaway, and then I will announce the winners on the next episode. Okay, so thank you so much again for stopping by. Be good to yourselves, be good to your stash. Remember, we are collectors of yarn, we are collectors of memories, and we are makers. So be proud and enjoy the weekend. Crochet on. Big hugs, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. So I wanted to leave you with a quote from the Jars of Joy that I received from Jillian of the Cuckoo for Cowls podcast to start you off on the weekend the right way. The quote is by Julian of Norwich, and it says, "All will be well, and all will be well, and all manners of things will be well." So have a great weekend. Bye.